You're joking, says Ben Beckman, shocked by what he was hearing. I'm not. Among the few abilities being Thagura Gura no Mi, that was recorded at low based, considering the attribute was never at all practiced when absorbed, says Shanks, as in he also can give these abilities to allies if he wants. Says Shanks, as he continued further, the Rot and Decay Devil Fruit. Essentially with the Rot and Decay Fruit does a dreams his enemy's strength and restores his own strength and regenerates open wounds, and it also Korok Flush. And he has access to the Mind Fruit as well. This fruit is still unheard of to this day, nobody really knows what it does. But it's a theory that it can control somebody's mind alone is still is weaker than the users. And he has access to Syndragosa Ancient Zone, Ice Dragon Devil Fruit. The user can summon undead. Ice Dragon is extremely powerful. And that is not all, it's also immune to Conqueror's Haki, and it can shut down all the devil fruits temporarily by just existing. As everybody in the bar yells out, that's overpowered, how can somebody have that much power? It doesn't make sense. At Shanks says, calm down everybody, the concepts of devil fruits doesn't make sense. He yells out, so why isn't it so hard to believe that there's something this strong? Let me finish explaining. As Shanks goes on. Time skip 20 minutes later, letting this information set into the crew before him. As Yassop look over towards Luffy, before looking back to Shanks, I think it would be best to train him, Captain. This isn't something that we can take lightly, says Yassop, suggesting it to his captain. Agreed. Better that he has control than none at all. Amongst other things, it would help him a lot, says Ben, agreeing with Yassop while giving his own opinion. So what do we do, Captain? He needs a bit of training, considering he used that. Not to mention that we did just got here not too long ago. So, says Lucky Roo, trailing off with his words while giving his suggestion on things, which only caused Shanks think for a moment, before ultimately moving to walk in order to go towards Luffy, who was talking to Makino at the moment. Luffy, do you know what you just did? Asks Shanks in more calm tone, trying to see if he knew. No, honestly this happens to me at times. Asks Shanks in more calm tone, trying to see if he knew. No, honestly this happens to me at times where I'm hunting, or get angry. I don't know what it is, and no one ever told me, says Luffy, overall unsure while being honest with his answer, which actually surprised Shanks a bit. What kind of grandparent does that to a 7-year-old? Thought everyone there present to hear this, and finding that to be very cruel. Okay Luffy, who is your grandpa? Asks Shanks, a bit irritated about that, and wanting to speak to the man about how he should be treating his family. Monkey D. Garp, says Luffy in a calm tone of voice, causing everyone to freeze. As the bar was silent for a few moments with just wide-eyed people, before the silence was broken by Shanks, who spoke again upon letting this settle in. You mean to tell me the hero of the Marines is your grandfather? Asked Shanks, shouting in shock due to knowing the man's reputation and power, while making Makino laugh a bit from his shocked nature, as he had to regain his composure upon hearing this. Okay Luffy, before I decide to even remotely train you for a bit, what's your dream? Asked Shanks, curious to know in order to determine something. Well, firstly for the D, to be recognized in this world once again, and most of all to be the king of the pirates, says Luffy, remembering countless stories behind the D from his grandfather, and what they fight for. Okay Luffy, I get the first part, but why king of the pirates? Asks Shanks curious. Because the king is the one with the most freedom in this world, says Luffy, surprising Shanks, as this was the same towards his crew. Well Luffy, welcome to the crew, says Shanks, as everyone starts cheering and celebrating. Now, you'll have to wait, considering we'll have to make preparations to find an island to train you, says Shanks, informing Luffy of this. That's fine with me, says Luffy, smiling. Alright, says Shanks, as they started to get back to celebrating. Dash out of nowhere the sword that was on Luffy's back started to float as everybody's jaws dropped as the sword started to talk. Young master, as Luffy says me, yes, you will become the king, and you will rule this world with an iron fist. I'll make sure of that. As Luffy retaliates, no, I will not. Only those that are deemed trash will be destroyed. As a super change happened to Luffy, this is natural, lucky, happy, carefree Luffy, but then his eyes go back to normal. As Luffy passes out, what the hell was that, said Shanks, as everybody in the bar is baffled. That sword is dangerous, says Shanks, I'm going to take it away from him. But I think tried with all his might it would not get unleashed. Today time skip as Shanks is concerned about the sword. Well Ben Beckman, we will have to keep an eye on Luffy as somebody yells out. Mayor, come quickly, says Makino, yelling in a panic, which causes Whoop Slap to follow in a haste, due to Higuma and his crew coming back as promised demanding the sake. And we're about to attack Makino as retribution for how Shanks and his crew treated him until Luffy had stepped in as best he. As Luffy wasn't going to stand for or let them attack and hurt people in the village as they pleased, especially not against Makino, who was essentially an older sister to him in all but blood, as she was always there to look out for Luffy. So for the most part he was winning up until one of the which ultimately led to Luffy being in the situation that he was in now, outside with Higuma's foot placed on his head, keeping him on the ground, intent on killing him, as Luffy's anger was rising a bit trying to get from under this guy. As Luffy thought there was no way out and he was going to die, then out of nowhere his passive ability to freeze things happened. It started to freeze the leg. Higuma started to scream in agony, "My F leg is everybody," and all the bandits scream in terror, but your screams won't be heard no more as Luffy frozen to death. As Shanks and everybody saw the absolute carnage that happened at Shanks and Ben Beckman noticed that Luffy was able to keep it in control. 5-day time skip. So while this happened, the crew was packing up in order to get ready to sail off. And as they were near finishing the restocking of their ship, ready to set sail so that Shanks could train Luffy, said boy was now he saying his goodbyes to Makino before heading off with Shanks and his crew. "Alright Makino, I'll see you in a few months after I get my powers under control," says Luffy with a calm smile, as Makino leaned down to pat him on the head. "Okay Luffy, just make sure to take care of yourself," says Makino, reminding Luffy of this as she returned the smile, giving Shanks the perfect potentiality to speak now, as he walked up to the two. "Alright Anchor, it's time to go now," says Shanks, now informing Luffy, who nodded and decided to speed off for the ship. "And don't you worry, Makino, he'll be just fine," says Shanks, reassuring her as she did have some worries to letting the boy leave with Shanks, as the next 10 months of Luffy's life would be complete training in order to help better the control over his powers. It didn't take long for Shanks and his crew to find the perfect island for Luffy's training, as they had found an island that was completely abandoned with a bit of wildlife, as the land was still fertile, perfect for teaching him the basics of hockey and how to bring his conqueror's spirit under along with another reason at hand, as Shanks led Luffy away from his crew in order for them to start now. As Shanks eyed a small clearing with a small sitting rock not too far away, deciding that this would now be the perfect time to explain it all to Luffy, as he moved forward in order to sit down. "Alright Luffy, here's where I'm gonna teach you Abuthaki. So before we begin let me tell you first," begins Shanks, while now making his move to sit on the rock, before continuing to speak. "Hockey is a power that lies dormant in. Hockey is a power that lies dormant in all the world's creatures, presence, fighting spirit, and intimidation. It is not different from the things that humans can naturally sense, such as these. The act of not doubting. That is strength," says Shanks, speaking proudly as Luffy listened. "Like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry for the short video, it's just that I'm tired. I'll give you a part 3 tomorrow."